Welcome back. And as for the LLR, Lunar Laser Ranger, the owner of Matjiesfontein, John Rawdon, who is the nephew of the original owner who bought the town. Yes, he bought the whole town somewhere in 1973 or maybe 1975, when he sold a very, very well-known wine farm, Lanzerak, in order to buy this town. So David Rawdon, Uncle David, as he was known to many of us, very good friend, he bought the town, and at some point Dr. Ludwig Combrink, or Professor Combrink, he was visiting Sutherland, etc., searching for a new site for this Lunar Laser Ranger. And Sutherland had a problem because they said it will create a lot of light pollution, which was quite funny because this laser, of course, it will be a massive laser, and it can be problematic for the optics at Sutherland. But as he tried to point out to them, when we or you or whoever operates the instrument open the dome to utilize this laser, the conditions will be exactly the same as for an optical instrument. In other words, simple optics will apply. You will not open your dome for optical observations because of mist, fog, dust, or whatever. And the bottom line is, the laser will not be operated in any of the conditions that you would close your dome for, but when you are opening up your optical telescope, the conditions would be the same for when we open up our dome for the Lunar Laser Ranger. But because there's no dust, no fog or mist or whatever, you will not be able to see the laser. There would be no reflection, etc. But okay, the bottom line is Sutherland had a problem of co-hosting and co-locating this instrument, the Lunar Laser Ranger, at their site, and this is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, Matjiesfontein is in the middle of nowhere. So Professor Combrink was staying over at the Matjiesfontein Hotel, which is a really absolute fantastic place, and I will advise any person, if you ever have the chance, go there. Bottom line is, he was talking to Uncle David and basically complaining about the situation, and Uncle David said, you know what, I have thousands of acres. Go out into the farm and pick yourself a spot, and you can have it for 99 years, free of charge. Only thing I would want is that you set up a trust fund for the local community. And that was very important, but pick yourself a site. And Professor Combrink I'm not going to go into too much details, but the bottom line is he's a sprightly, youngish person. He traipsed off into the mountains and he found this valley. And he came back to Uncle David and said, I want that valley. That would be perfect for the Lunar Laser Ranger. So some 50 square hectares of terrain was identified, and so investigations began, and that's where I started getting involved, and I did a lot of geotechnical work involving many things. But coming back to Uncle David and the later owner of the farm, was this installation may not be visible either from the town or from the N1 highway which passes the town. So we had to find a site which is geotechnically stable, but where we can put the Lunar Laser Ranger just below the horizon. So we did a lot of investigations, a lot of GPS work entailed, until we found a place which we deemed reasonable and suitable, and a lot of work then happened. And one of my students, Susan Botma, she did her master's work on that specific particular site, looking at slope stability, geotechnical properties in terms of, we did drilling, laboratory test, and petrology, etc., to determine if that specific place would be suitable for the emplacement of this 7-ton instrument, and designs were drawn up for the foundations and where and how the instrument will be situated. And as far as I know, those designs are still considered valid. And in the process, we also designed, built, and established what we call a vault. And inside the vault, there was in place some seismic instruments, anything that happened seismically is recorded, as well as the gravimetric flux and changes, and this including the actual position based on GPS readings is still streamed to Hartbeespoort, Sarau, and that in itself is another lecture on its own, because the GPS position indicates a movement of the Kaapval Kraton, which is considered to be one of the most stable tectonic plates in the world. And yet the position has shifted several centimeters. Well, the instrument is perfectly stable, which means that the actual tectonic plate is moving. But that in itself is yet another lecture on its own, and I will get to that as well in time. Again, until next time.